Alright, match number 4. We have Reaping the Graves in our opening hand, which is pretty useless. However, we have a good curve otherwise. Turn 2 counterspell, turn 3 Seagate Oracle, and an early removal spell. So I'm going to keep this hand anyway. Fairy Miscreant, okay, Mono Blue Delver. And pass the turn and hope they don't have more Fairy Miscreants to draw them cards. This is what Fairy Miscreant does if you're not aware. If you cast one when you already have one, you draw a card. So their preordain went top and top, which is a little concerning. What's more concerning is the fact that they're playing Swiftwater Cliffs, which means they're not Mono Blue Delver. It means they're probably Red-Blue Control, or maybe just a version of Mono Blue Delver that's playing Lightning Bolts and or Fire Bolts or something. Anywho, I think I'm just going to stick to the plan, hold open, Counterspell, and Disfigure, and pass. Take a damage here. And if they're going to pass the turn, then I'm going to go ahead and disfigure this. Just in case they draw Fairy Miscreant later, I might be able to deny them a card. Spellstutter Sprite. Okay, so this is somewhat similar to Mono Blue Delver. We've got the Fairy Synergy. Here I can play Seagate Oracle or hold open Counterspell. And since I'm missing a land drop, I'm going to play Seagate Oracle to try to find that 4th land drop. Alright, there we go. Dimir Aqueduct. Echoing Decay would be nice, but I think I need to take the land. Alright, take our beats in the air. They have a Boiler Works, and they pick up an island. Well, the only thing that I could cast on my turn is Counterspell, if they cast something first. So, I'm just going to attack. And I can play Aqueduct or Backwater this turn. I'll pick up Radiant Fountain with my Aqueduct, since I'm not drawing to over 7 cards in hand, so it's not going to cause me to have to discard hand size. And hopefully here they tap out for Mulldrifter and I blow them out with Counterspell. Though they can obviously see what I'm holding up with the 2 blue mana, so they probably won't go for it. Okay, and they don't. So I unfortunately can't play Chittering Rats and hold up in Counterspell here. So I'm going to lead with Preordain. And it looks like it's going to get hit by a Spellstutter Sprite. So just because I don't have any removal for that right now, I think I'm going to go ahead and try to counterspell this Spellstutter Sprite. Lets me resolve my Preordain, and it takes a power off the table, so this clock doesn't increase from 2 to 3 a turn. They counter back, okay. And now I have to deal with 3 damage a turn with no removal in hand. So this is the Mulldrifter turn, assuming they're slow enough to be able to play Mulldrifter in their deck. And if they're playing Boiler Works, they probably are. Yep, there's the Mulldrifter. And they Flame Slash down our Seagate Oracle. So yeah, this looks like it's just a blue-red tempo deck. It's sort of a control deck, but it's kind of hard to be a control deck when you're playing 4 Fairy Miscreant, which doesn't do very much, so they're relying on the synergy here in order to make it playable. Alright, so here I can Preordain, and then I'll probably go Archaeomancer, Disfigure, kill the Mulldrifter. Lonely Sandbar is too slow. I think I probably need to keep Doomblade, though. And here, if I have a Doomblade, I guess I can just cast Chittering Rats instead of Archaeomancer, Disfigure. Alright, there's the rat. getting to resolve this. Well, I'm sure they still have cards in hand. Gain 2 life, and slow down their clock. And hope they can't follow up with another Mulldrifter until I am able to hold up and counterspell again. Alright, Miscreant cycles. They go back to 2 cards in hand. Ghostly Flicker. Okay, well, there's the combo. I don't have enough mana to Arcumancer and Ghostly Flicker this turn. But I can Arcumancer. Start the combo up for next turn. I could grab another counterspell to protect it. Although I am getting hit by 4 damage in the air, even if I lock them out of the game completely with Ghostly Flickering my Chittering Rats and Arcumancer. So maybe I should just take the efficient removal spell and be content with the 1 counterspell I have for now. I think I'll do that. Lightning Bolt my Arcumancer. Pretty sure I have to counterspell that. I need to keep it around for value for the Ghostly Flicker. And we're on a 4-turn clock. Let's see if we can draw enough removal to stop that. Boiler Works picks up an island. Flame Slash kills our Ghostly Flicker target. So if we Ghostly Flicker Chittering Rats this turn, we can guarantee them draw an island, which is pretty great. I can Reap in the Graves, get back Arcumancer, Ghostly Flicker, make them put the island on top, and then they can just play the island. And then on their draw step, I can Ghostly Flicker again. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'd rather get rid of a Fairy Miscreant, because if I get rid of both of them, then future Fairy Miscreants are worse. I can Reaping the Graves. Go get my Arcumancer. Seagate Oracle. Ghostly Flicker. I guess I could have attacked first just in case they let me through for 2 damage. And then if they blocked, I could just Ghostly Flicker before damage happened. Alright, so now, since I drew Disfigure, somewhat luckily, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I can Arcumancer Ghostly Flicker in their draw step and hope they can't play anything in response. If it's a land, if it's like a Fairy Miscreant or a Mulldrifter or Preordain, it'll lock them out. If it's something with Flash or an instant, then obviously it won't work. Alright, here's the combo. Are we going to execute it for the first time in match 4? Alright, target you, target my Ghostly Flicker. Now I just have to stop them from killing me in the air if this works. Alright, they put the card back. Looks like we have the lock down. Now all we have to do is control the board before we die. Alright, Mulldrifter, we have a flying blocker. That's game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, it's not quite game because then if I don't draw an untapped land, I can't lock them out of the game anymore, so that's too dangerous. I won't do that. I'll play Seagate Oracle and Disfigure this turn, and I'll look for that extra land. Chainers is a fine card. Seagate Oracle would probably do the job too. Disfigure you. Attack for 3. And now I believe they're on a faster clock than we are. So even if we never remove a creature again and we just do our Ghostly Flicker trick, we should be fine. Boop, boop, boop. And now you see the handlock portion of Dimir Handlock. Oh, not that. Let's not mess this up, shall we? And we also get another free flicker here, Archaeomancer and Seagate Oracle to draw a card. Deadweight. There we go. There's the final removal spell we need. Technically we don't need it, because we have them dead. We don't actually even have to show them the fact that we have a deadweight. Force them to chump block this turn and then die on the next turn. Or if they don't want to chump block, they don't have to. Boom, Dimir Handlock. So Hydroblast would be an obvious choice. It can get Flame Slash or whatever other red cards they happen to have, probably Lightning Bolts as well. Nausea would also be an obvious choice. Relic of Progenitus should not be important. Stormbound Geist would be an obvious choice. Dispel would be an obvious choice versus counter spells. Deep Analysis would almost be an obvious choice, though they seem a little bit faster than Deep Analysis would indicate. The problem is we're probably not going to be bringing in 11 cards. The thing is, we care very little about countering red spells. If they could remove our creatures, we don't care. All we care about is being able to remove their creatures, and if their creatures are removed, then they lose, because their Spellstutter sprites get a lot worse, their Fairy Miscreants get a lot worse if they can't resolve more than one at a time. And if our creatures get removed, we're fine because we have Stormbound Geist and we have Reaping the Graves as eventualities and Archaeomancers and such to win the long game and Chainer's Edicts. They probably are going to bring in Stormbound Geist of their own as well, which makes it more important to counter their spells instead of remove them. I'm going to cut my Unearth because my land blockers, my ground blockers are much less likely to die against an all-flyers deck. I'm going to cut 2 of the Hydroblast, because I don't care about countering their burn spells all that much. 2 of the Nausea, because I expect them to be in a Stormbound Geist plan instead of a Spellstutter Sprite Merit Fairy Miscreant plan. Deadweight, because we don't need quite that much removal, I don't believe. And who cares? We'll only have 1 Hydroblast. Cut a couple Seagate Oracles, because they don't block at all, so they lose value. And submit. Alright, this hand is pretty good. I'm going to keep. I'm not sure whether I'm going to turn 1 Preordain or set it for turn 2 Decay. Depends on what they do. They go Preordain, okay? Top and top. I think I can wait on this Preordain. I'll just play my tap land so I can curve Echoing Decay into Stormbound Geist if that's what I choose to do. They just pass a turn with Counterspell obviously open. They could also have Spellstutter Sprite obviously open. I wouldn't mind them trading their Counterspell for a Preordain obviously, but I would mind them getting a free counter for their Spellstutter Sprite. So I think I'll just play a land and pass. I don't need to Preordain right now. I have land drops, I have spells to cast. And they're just going to Spellstutter Sprite for no value anyway, so I'm glad that I saved my Preordain. Depending on how exactly they sideboard, if I don't see any Stormbound Geist, I might bring in more Shrivels than just the one that I brought in. If they stay on all 4 Fairy Miscreant and Stormbound Geist, or Spellstutter Sprite, that is. I'm going to go ahead and attempt to remove this, just to force them to go ahead and use removal right now. Or play another Spellstutter Sprite, perhaps. Alright, they do have 2. This is a good card versus 2 Spellstutter Sprites, but I want to make them make the first move. That way they're tapped out here. And I can resolve the trump card, which is Stormbound Geist. Boiler works. Island goes back to hand. Alright, I can preordain Chittering Rats, or I can Archaeomancer. Whether I play Chittering Rats or Archaeomancer, they're likely to try to counterspell it. But in the rare situation where they have somehow drawn all 3 of their Spellstarter sprites and they have a 3rd, I would much rather be playing Archaeomancer. So yeah, I think I'll just play Archaeomancer. If they have Counterspell, then fine. I have another Archaeomancer in my deck, and I have a Reaping the Graves. But if they have Spellstarter Sprite, then this is going to be really good. Alright, remove Soul. I wonder if they have that in their main deck as well. I'm the control deck here, so I'm not going to trade 2 damage for 2 damage by attacking in. Alright, Seagate Oracle gets cast. Bottom and top with Preordain. Well, I only have 5 mana, or I would Archaeomancer, Echoing Decay all in one turn. I could still play Archaeomancer Preordain this turn if I like. Let's start with Preordain, and then I'll decide on whether I want to do Chittering Rats or Archaeomancer. Alright, Dismal Backwater can go away. The spell is kind of nice, especially with Chittering Rats. I think I need to find card draw here, or something a little bit better than Dispel, so I think I'm going to put this on the bottom. Drew an Aqueduct, so I'll play the Fountain now. Resolve my Archaeomancer. Go get an Echoing Decay so I can get these Spell Stutters out of my way. And make future Spell Stutters worse. Now if our opponent just top decks a Mulldrifter, they can't cast it without allowing me to 2-for-1 them with the Echoing Decay. Alright, Archaeomancer gets bolted. Play another Oracle. And another Stormbound Geist. So I definitely want to resolve that. There's no way they can counter this, right? What is this going to be? They don't have Pirate Blast up because they don't have red mana. They don't have Remove Soul because they only have 1 mana. Alright, excellent. And then I also want to resolve Chittering Rats while they still have cards in hand. I like to Echoing Decay these Spell Stutters. I would really like to do that. But even more than that, I want to get value off my Chittering Rats. And if I happen to top deck Shrivel, I would rather use that and save the Echoing Decay. Here I can attack, because my Stormbound Geist has resolved. So if they double block, then I get a 3/3, and if they don't double block, then these Spellstutter sprites can attack anyway. Mulldrifter, okay. Preordain is a pretty decent draw. Lands are not, so they can go away. And another land. Wonderful. Opponent's at 4 cards in hand. I think I will simply get these out of the way and attack. We're winning this damage race right now, especially given that I'm going to gain another 2 life from Radiant Fountain. And our opponent only has 1 red mana symbol, so it's kind of hard for them to just burn 2 removal spells on removing a Stormbound Geist twice. Okay, they have 1 of their own. Would have really liked to counterspell or exclude that. Lonely Sandbar. Okay, that's an acceptable land to draw. Chainer's Edict. That's also acceptable. Even if they just get rid of Seagate Oracles twice in a row, then that means my Chittering Rats can start attacking. Alright, playing my Radiant Fountain. To attack or not to attack? That is the question. I think now that they have a Stormbound Geist, I don't. Because they're going to block. I'm only going to get it for 2 damage. Then they're going to have a 3/3 versus my 3/3. I'm going to have to be forced to trade them off. Although, the more creatures that get traded off, the better my Flashback Chainer's Edict is. So maybe I'll just attack with these 2 anyway. And if they have a lightning bolt in hand, they're definitely killing my 3/3 on end of turn. Yep, Power Blast, okay. Not quite a lightning bolt. Well, they now have the card advantage and board advantage, so let's see how badly they wreck us. Mulldrifter, that's wrecking us pretty hard. And we take 5 with our face. And we draw a Mulldrifter. And we hope they don't have Counterspell. Because if they don't have Counterspell, this might just get us back into the game. I could tap another Swamp here and then be able to play Counterspell, Counterspell if I happen to draw exactly 2 Counterspells, but more likely is the case where I potentially draw Chittering Rats and then I want to have 2 black mana available. But none of it's relevant because I get hit by a Counterspell. That is rough. Well, at least the Mulldrifters can't attack, because if one of them trades with this and I get a 3/3, then the other one blocks the Mulldrifter for free. Unless, of course, they have a Power Blast or Bolt, which is entirely possible. I'll just take the 3 damage here. If I get lower, I can block to turn this into a 3/3 so I can trade, but that just means the Mulldrifters start getting in, which isn't great either. Miscreant, no card draw. I guess they could be playing Miscalculation, so I suppose I'll show them that I have another land in hand. More likely is Mana Leak, though. So that gets rid of a lowly Fairy Miscreant. And they Preordain. Hopefully it's as bad as my Preordain was. See 2 lands, bottom them both, draw another land. They went top and bottom, so they found at least one thing that they want. Shrivel would be a pretty awful top deck right about now. And I get Flame Slashed, okay. 2-turn clock in the air. Need to draw Mulldrifter again. I make them put a card back. Let's see what it was. A land, which they pick another land back up. And now I'm on a 1-turn clock. I must find something this turn or I'm going to take 5 in the air. And it's another land somehow. Alright, game 3. So I think I'm going to take out this Nausea. It has the potential to be a blowout, but it probably won't be. And I'm just going to grab another removal spell. And we'll submit. We would like to play first. And this hand is kind of bad, but I'm going to keep it anyway. It's got lands and spells. Some of those spells are removal spells. I really want to counterspell or exclude for their Stormbound Geist, but definitely lead with an island here in case I top deck counterspell. Miscreant, okay. Play my Swamp, and do I want to Chainer's Edict that or Decay it? I would like to try to get a 2-for-1 value with Decay, so I'm just going to Edict. The ultimate blowout would be holding up in Decay, they play another Fairy Miscreant. In response to the trigger, I Echoing Decay, and I believe that would stop the trigger, since it should check on when it enters and on resolution. Alright, I could evoke this Mulldrifter here, but I don't want to. Although I am light on black mana. What am I going to be doing next turn? Echoing Decaying something? Like a Stormbound Geist and giving them a 3/3? That seems pretty bad. Maybe I just have to evoke this. Yeah, I need to turn these Chittering Rats on before they empty their hand. It always feels bad to evoke a Mulldrifter, but it is nice having that option because I think it's correct here. Well, we weren't drawing swamps for a while, so probably a good thing I evoked the Mulldrifter. Yep, there's the Geist. We need to find a Geist of our own and pronto. We can Archaeomancer into Chainer's Edict, or we can play Preordain. I'm going to play Preordain and try to hit an untapped black land for Chittering Rats, or a Stormbound Geist. Disfigure is fine, but I really want an untapped black land. I guess I have one in hand, don't I? Because of that, no, I still don't want Disfigure. It's not good against this creature, and I'm going to be using both of my black mana symbols this turn and probably next turn with the Chittering Rats. So show me a Stormbound Geist. Oh, Mulldrifter, that's pretty good too. I can do that next turn instead, if they're tapped out. Alright, I get whacked for 2. Alright, Seagate Oracle. Luckily that's not another Geist, or I'd be very upset. And here I can Archaeomancer Preordain all in one turn. I can play Mulldrifter, which is almost always going to be the correct choice. Or, I did draw Stormbound Geist. I think it's more important to resolve Stormbound Geist while they're tapped out, or Mulldrifter while they're tapped out, than Stormbound Geist. Additionally, I don't have anything to do with the other 2 mana. I could attack, and then when they block, I could Echoing Decay, Seagate Oracle, but that's not a ton of value because they could easily have another Seagate Oracle, and then I've accomplished nothing and have not enabled the Chittering Rat to attack. And hitting this with a Echoing Decay does nothing either, because then they'll have a 3/3 flyer versus my 2/2 flyer, and I'll be forced to chump block it just to turn this into a 3/3. So just play the Mulldrifter, let them hit me for another turn, or even I could block, and then if I draw removal for the 3/3 version of their Geist. Ghostly Flicker, that could be good with Chittering Rats and Mulldrifter on the table, especially with Archaeomancer in hand. Alright, I get Flame Slash, so I can't trade with the Geist. They missed their land drop last turn. Let's see if they're going to miss it again. Yeah, it looks like they don't have any land in hand and probably no Preordains in hand. They could easily have a counterspell, though. Or a Spellstutter Sprite, potentially. I could Archaeomancer into Preordain, play that Preordain, and then have a really good Ghostly Flicker opportunity. However, with 5 cards in hand, they probably either have Counterspell for the Archaeomancer or Removal Spell for the Archaeomancer, so that I'm not going to get to Ghostly Flicker them out of the game and lock them out of ever drawing a land again. Let's lead off with Preordain. I can always follow it up with Geist or Rat or Archaeomancer, depending on what I draw. Lonely Sandbar, Mulldrifter. I don't think I can ever put either of these on the bottom. So I'm going to put the land on top. I'm going to play the Geist to contest their Geist. They can counterspell it if they want, and if they do, then I can follow up with my other Geist on the next turn. And that should be fast enough that I won't just die. Especially since they're light on lands, I don't think they'll be able to develop their board fast enough to punish me for the greedy keep of the Mulldrifter on top. Alright, Preordain, they're looking for lands, most likely. Both the cards go to the bottom, but it looks like they did find an island. Hit us for 2 again. And they tap out for Stormbound Geist. So we definitely want to play Stormbound Geist of our own to contest. And I'm also going to play Chittering Rats so they still have a hand. Unfortunately, Echoing Decay on the Stormbound Geist doesn't do a lot because they come back as 3/3s. I am going to block here and hope to find removal for the 3/3 Geist. A Ninja of the Deep Hours. Okay, they bring back the other Geist to their hand to draw a card with the Ninja. I was not really expecting them to have that in their deck. Mono Blue Delver does, but I wasn't expecting the blue-red version too. Luckily, I have 2 Chittering Rats on the table to prevent this Ninja from drawing cards. And they bolt down my 3/3. So I have 7 mana. I would love to Mulldrifter and Ghostly Flicker, but I can't do that. So I'll probably just Archaeomancer Ghostly Flicker. I can only afford to take damage so many more times from this. I suppose I should Mulldrifter first, shouldn't I? And I need to leave open a black mana so that I can cast Echoing Decay. And then I'll just block the Stormbound Geist, Echoing Decay it, and hope that works out for me. I'll save Ghostly Flicker for another turn. It loses a lot of value if they empty their hand, obviously, because then Ghostly Flickering Chittering Rats does nothing. But I think I really need to not take damage from the Stormbound Geist if I can at all help it. So I'm going to do this before blocks in case they counterspell it. Then I'll know not to block with my Mulldrifter yet. Another way I could save some damage is I could play Archaeomancer and I could Ghostly Flicker Archaeomancer Mulldrifter after blocking their 3/3. And then do that every single turn and have an infinite blocker that keeps on not having to die because it gets bounced before combat. But that resolves, so I think I'm being able to eat this Stormbound Geist here. Pyroblast my Mulldrifter. Oh, they should have done that before they allowed me to block. They missed a damage there. And another Stormbound Geist. I am going to die. It's 5 damage in the air. So I can Archaeomancer back Echoing Decay. That doesn't do a lot. Chainer's Edict doesn't do a lot because it just gets Seagate Oracle, so I need to preordain and find something good. Neither of these are good. Well, now I only have 6 mana, so I can't actually play a 4 and a 3. So I can either play Chittering Rats, Ghostly Flicker, put both their cards back on top, and take 5. Or I can Archaeomancer into another Preordain. I think I need to Archaeomancer into a Preordain. And leave open a black mana for Disfigure. Yeah, let's do that. Deadweight. Okay. Chittering Rats is too slow. Can I afford to just take the Deadweight? Yes. And I'll put it on this so I don't transform the other one. And I'll gain some life, and then I'll pass the turn. Now they only have 3 damage. That saves me a little bit of time. I don't think I've actually seen a Lightning Bolt from them then, yet. Pyroblast my Archaeomancer, so I can't Ghostly Flicker it. I need to find a Stormbound Geist. And they have another Ninja of the Deep Hours. Pick up the one that has Deadweight on it. Draw another card. Go to 3 cards in hand. At least they can't resolve that Stormbound Geist again this turn. They preordain. So they have a Geist in turn and whatever Geist in hand, and whatever they draw in a preordain, and they go bottom and top with that. So I'm going to Aqueduct back the Lonely Sandbar. That's step 1. Give me something good. Ghostly Flicker. That's useless here. Not completely useless, but it's close to useless. Alright, I'll go ahead and attack because I'm going to Ghostly Flicker both these creatures. Let them deal damage because they're letting me. Pass, and then on the draw step, I'm going to hit him again. This is my desperation play. Gain a life. Flicker again. Just to deny as many turns as possible. And they're forcing me to trade off the ninjas here with the ninjas here so that they don't draw anything. So I'm on a 4-turn clock. They have 3 more attacks. Alright, gain my life. Play a rat just to block here because it's probably never getting value again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can't Chainer's Edict and play a rat. So what do I want to do? I think I'll Chainer's Edict. They can always play the sacrifice the Stormbound Geist to make it bigger, but then that's worse if I draw removal. If I draw like a Doomblade. Relic of Progenitus. Relic gets cracked. Take 4. Got a minute left on our clock, and it's another Stormbound Geist. Hydroblast is hilariously bad here. And we die. Sad face. Okay, well, our opponent played well. Stormbound Geist in game 2 and 3 were too much to overcome. And that's why it's a great sideboard card for our deck and for theirs. Alright, on to the next match.